Hey YouTube, Friday night. I guess this is what a 39-year-old dad, father of four, does on a Friday night. Sits in front of the camera and answers emails and makes a video. Lovely. I'm going to try something different. I'm going to do questions and answers periodically. Some of you send me emails, and a lot of the time it takes me 30 minutes to maybe an hour to answer your emails. I have to research the issue, and it also just takes me time to type out an answer, and honestly, it is time consuming. And I think the best way on doing this is to produce a video, because many of the questions that you guys give me or ask of me, a lot of other people have the same question. So I'd rather just do a video. And I'm not going to release your full name and too much specifics about you if you have a question, unless you want me to. That's different. But I will acknowledge you guys by your first name. Again, this is the fastest way I can get the information out, and I can get it out to a lot of people. Quite honestly, frankly, I'm not going to spend an hour, 2 hours, or half an hour on some random person. It's just me. Excuse my bold character, but that's the that's the way you got to be sometimes. Okay, you're not going to have a lot of time if you're not frank with people in this business. So the question of the day is from Ari. I don't know if I'm saying your name right, but he did have a question, and he's an attorney, and he has a lot of years as an attorney. He has over 5 years experience. I do get a handful of attorneys each year that want to become a private investigator. Okay, they see cases coming along their desk, and they sometimes contract to private investigators, and some of the cut, so to speak, is given away to these private investigators. I mean, why make money, or why lose some money if you can make some by having an investigative arm within your law firm? Okay, and then sometimes some attorneys, they just get tired of sitting behind the desk and going to court. They want to go out there and experience the field. So his basic reading of the video that I made is, he believes that he is able to qualify with his years of experience as an attorney. Now, I'm going to say this. Every couple years, there's a changing of the guard with respect to the chief of BSIS. When there's a new chief, there's sometimes new rules. They're not supposed to change the rules, okay? They're supposed to, maybe they can interpret the statutes that are already out there, the laws, but they can't make their own laws. And sometimes they do, okay? And that is really frustrating for me and others, because, you know, I'm writing this book that was finished late 2017, 2018, California Legal Investigator, available on Amazon, by the way. And when there's a changing of the guards, they interpret things a lot differently sometimes. But whenever there's a huge difference in interpretation, I will make a video of it. That's why it's really important that you're constantly monitoring the videos of the channel. So some years they'll take the investigative experience from a licensed attorney, and then other years sometimes they don't. You might get one that might get rejected, but usually it's an out-of-state attorney, I believe. Again, it just varies. So the basic reading of the Business Professions Code, yes, you should qualify, but this is the thing that you might have to do. And I actually have the page marked. It's page 21 of the California Legal Investigator, and I talked about Business Professions Code 7541.1D. And let's just say you get rejected for your application for lack of qualifying experience. You may want to write a letter to BSIS or bring this to your appeal, this specific section, and how it's read and how you may interpret it. But it says here, where the activities of employment of an applicant includes those which qualify as bona fide experience, as stated in this section, as well as those which do not qualify, the director, and the director meaning the director of consumer affairs, may, by delegation to the Bureau, and the director of consumer affairs will probably delegate this responsibility to the chief of BSIS, whose name is Lynn Andres. Determine and apportion that percentage of experience for which any applicant is entitled to credit. So I might get some, like a HR manager or somebody who traditionally doesn't meet the Business Profession Code requirements. And this is the section 7541.1 subsection D that I would recommend that they use in their appeal. So what this means is this: I would go ahead for you, Ari, I would apply for your license. Now get prepared to lose some money here. I mean, you're going to be losing maybe the application fees and live scan fees, which in total you're looking maybe close to higher $100, lower $200 that you could be losing, and then obviously your time. But they're going to expect for them to reject you. If so, you get to appeal. Okay, and during your appeal, you want to bring up that Business Professions Code section. It's unfortunate that it could possibly take you a year or longer while you fight this appeal to get licensed, but hey, it's worth it. I mean, you already have your law firm, you have your business up and running. Just get prepared for that. Now, on the positive side, Chief Lynn, in October 8th meeting, she was proud to say that the Bureau of Security Investigative Services is a division within the Department of Consumer Affairs that gives people second chances, those that commit crimes. Okay, felonies. So if it's past 7 years, it looks like for a nonviolent felony, it looks like you're eligible to get your PI license. If you're eligible to get your PI license, if you committed a crime and spent 7 years in prison, why should an attorney not be able to qualify? Okay. Now, I do advise you to write in the qualifying manager affidavit when you fill out the application, that you use the word investigated. Excuse me, guys, I got a little cold. Make sure you use that word a lot and often. And it's true, because as an attorney, you're investigating the case. You're interviewing witnesses. You're interviewing the plaintiff. And you might be also interviewing the other parties to see whether or not this is worth pursuing. And when you try to prosecute some of these civil matters in court, you have to do your due diligence on behalf of the client and talk to everybody. You might have to go to the scene, take pictures. Normally, you probably have your own investigator doing that, but you might do it yourself. Okay, there's a lot of investigative work, so make sure that you include that in the qualifying manager certificate. It's an affidavit form. I don't know what the number is off the top of my head, but it's within the packet. Okay, so I hope this answers your question. Just apply, expect to get rejected, and then you definitely want to appeal. Okay. Excuse me. Let me know how that works out for you. Now, number 2 says PIs cannot wear uniforms. So if I get my exposed firearm permit, I can wear plain clothes with exposed firearm while on duty without issue. Yes, you can wear your firearm, your exposed firearm, without any issues, as long as you have your exposed firearm permit. That won't be an issue. Now, you also mentioned, won't this cause people to call the police on me? Yes, especially in California. If you're in Arizona or Texas, I mean, it's almost expected in many places that you have a gun on you, right? So yes, this will cause people to call the police on you, especially in California. You do get an ID card that you can hang from your neck, but you're not even allowed to wear a badge. So people might be surprised, but it also depends on how you carry yourself out. If you never carried a gun in your life, exposed to maybe private security or as a law enforcement officer, maybe I don't think this is the best idea, because you might have some maybe bad habits maybe resting your hand on the gun, on where the hammer's at, the back of the slide, back strap area. You might have a habit of touching that, and somebody might say, oh, well, he was exhibiting this weapon in a rude and threatening manner, even though it was holstered. So I don't necessarily think it's a good thing if you don't have the experience carrying it. Now, I think for most assignments, maybe if you're on a surveillance somewhere, in a sketchy neighborhood, maybe have it exposed, but you definitely want to call the law enforcement agency having jurisdiction and tell them that you're armed. Here's all of your license numbers. You'll even send them a copy, photocopy through email of your driver's license, your private investigator ID, and your exposed permit. You'll let them know you're willing to do that. But just give them a heads up, okay? If there's little room for, well, if the police are most likely to just roll up on you, you got to be really careful, man, because I'm telling you, the police can mistaken you for a bad guy, because in California, police normally believe that if you have a gun, you're the bad guy. Especially California police are more on their toes, because having a gun exposed is not very common in our state. Okay, the private investigators that normally carry exposed would be your bail enforcement officers. Maybe you're doing some type of bail recovery, and you can do that as a private investigator. You just have to have a little bit of bail enforcement training, in addition to you having a license, and that'd be a time where a exposed firearm would be more appropriate. Okay, number 3, once licensed, can I hire an employee to work under me and also obtain a PI license and firearm card? The state sent me an email once because a same question popped up, but this was for a concealed permit holder. They told me that the state doesn't have jurisdiction over those who have the concealed weapon permit and who are your employees. So they didn't give me an answer, but it looks like if you have an employee and they have a concealed weapon permit, they can carry it on duty while assigned to your office. But a lot of insurance carriers, they're not going to. No, actually, I take that back. I mean, you got to ask first if the insurance carrier would cover that type of loss if one of your employees used the firearm. So ask the insurance carrier if that's something that they would cover. If it's exposed, okay, they're going to have their own PI license and exposed firearm card, and you would have to most likely hire them as a contractor. Okay, that's my recommendation. So, Ari, I hope this helps. I'm not an attorney. You're an attorney. So some of the stuff you got to figure out on your own, but hopefully this leads you in a right direction. Hope you like this video.